Hey ladies, it's Kim Bukta here with another video. In today's video, I want to talk about exercise. Again, this is another trickier topic because I think we're hearing so much different information about exercise that sometimes it overwhelms people to the point where they just don't do anything, which isn't good. So I think we need to just kind of go over the focuses of like main takeaway points so that people get into doing what they can to live healthier, live longer. I think everybody's goal is we want to stay strong. We want to stay out of the nursing home. We want to be able to, live in our own houses, be independent, pick ourselves up if we fall, catch yourself if you trip. But we need to do something about that in order to live these long, healthier lives. So I want to kind of just go over again, kind of what I've researched as kind of main takeaway points as what we all should be doing. So first, obviously, everybody hears we need to lift heavy, and this is true in order to build muscle. And obviously, as we've talked about in the other videos, muscle is kind of the key to longevity, but we need to get stronger. So again, lifting heavy is kind of a daunting subject because most women don't even know how to lift weights. So I don't think women should go out and just start grabbing heavy weights and lifting and getting hurt. That is obviously not the way to go about this. Women need to start slowly. I think the best option is if you can afford paying for a trainer. I've had one before. It's very helpful. They can, show you how to lift these heavier weights and get you comfortable in the gym and using equipment so that you feel confident to go into the gym and kind of do the weight training that you need to do. Now, that being said, if you don't have the money to do that or you don't feel comfortable doing that, there are other ways that you could start with trying to lift weights. There's a lot of online programs. And I think there's a lot of online programs for beginners. Otherwise, it's just starting with body weight stuff. You could start with body weight air squats. You could start doing, push-ups on your knees or push-ups against the wall. Any of these are strength training exercises, and then you can slowly add dumbbells in, again, trying to get to that heavier weights. And again, the reason we need to lift heavier is we want to get stronger. So obviously, if we want the cut muscles, things like that, that's more of the hypertrophy workouts, which are great for, how you look. But I think everybody's goal should be to want to get strong, again, to live longer, live healthier, be able to take care of yourself and do the things we need to do. So that is the lifting heavier end of things is how we do that. What does lifting heavy mean? Again, your end game is probably to be able to lift between 3 to 5 reps for about 5 sets. So that would be like I could, squat a certain amount of weight and I could only do it 3 or 4 times. And then my form starts to get bad and I'm starting to get tired and I have to stop. So that's what my heaviest weight is. And again, that's going to be different for everybody. So that's why it's hard for someone to get online and be like, you need to lift this much weight is the heaviest enough weight to tell you what's going to, instigate a response in your body. So it's different for everybody. You need to start slow. Just start with body weights, start with push-ups. Like I start with the easy things, and then slowly add the weights in. Again, if you can afford a trainer, I really feel it's been very beneficial to have somebody walking you through a gym and getting you comfortable in the weight setting at the gym. It's pretty cool when you feel confident to walk into the gym and be able to, know what you're doing around the weight training area. So I think it's a nice thing to do if you can afford it. If you can't, some of the online programs I've done, I know there's a lot out there, so you can kind of research what works for you, but I've done Haley Happens Fitness. That one's a paid app. I just did her 12-week Power Happens program, and I thought it was really good. I really felt like I got stronger with it. It's good weight training. She has stuff set up for in gym and at home, so I feel like there's good options with that one. She has a lot of videos that explain how to do the weightlifting exercises, and I think she's got a lot of like beginner programs and other programs on there. I've only just tried the one, but I like that a lot, so I feel like that's a good option. Yeah, the free programs that I've done Heather Robertson, which is free on YouTube, and I've also done Caroline Gervan, which is another free one on YouTube. Both do good kind of strength training exercises, and I thought were easy to follow. Not a lot of talking. I don't like a lot of talking, so again, I thought they were easy for people to follow on lifting weights at home. So good options that are out there. So again, number 1, we need to lift heavy. Next, we need to get our cardio in. So cardio, as we're getting into the perimenopause and the postmenopausal ranges, the sprint training is seeming to be more important to instigate that response in your body. Again, it's good for brain health. It's good for burning that visceral fat. So I think they're finding that the sprint training is something that we should incorporate into our workouts. What does that mean? You don't necessarily have to go out and sprint. I like sprinting. I've always ran. I usually would run like 3 to 5 miles, maybe once or twice a week. But as I've kind of hit this perimenopausal transition, I'd have back pain, I'd have knee pain. I just wasn't enjoying my runs because I just hurt by the time I was done with them. So I found with doing the sprint training, I don't ache afterwards. So it's kind of great. It sounds awful to be sprinting, but it's really quick. I do hill sprinting just to try to not injure hamstrings, things like that. I run up the hill as fast as I can for 20, 30 seconds, and then I rest like 3.5 to 4 minutes, and then I do it again. I do it maybe, 5 to 8 times, depending on how much energy I have for the day. And overall, it takes maybe like 25, 30 minutes, and then I'm done. Again, my body doesn't hurt after doing that. Some of the other things you could do for sprint training, I have an Aerodyne bike that is also a very hard workout where you feel like you want to barf when you're done with that one. So, 30 seconds as hard as you can go on that, and then resting, between 2 to 4 minutes to fully recover, and then doing it again, anywhere between those 5 to 8 times that you're doing it to really get that heart rate up. And again, you're doing an exercise enough to feel like you want to vomit. So it is intense. And then you rest and fully recover, and then you do it again. And again, you want to do that, maybe 5 times to instigate this response to help, like I said, burn that visceral fat. Other things, you could do burpees, you could do battle ropes. So there's a lot of different ways that you could do kettlebell swings. So there's a lot of different ways you could do these sprint training. And again, you can do them separately, or you could add those on to the end of your strength training program. So how I kind of design it is I try to lift weights 3 days a week at least. And then I do the sprint training, once or twice a week. Also, there's a lot on just VO2 max, and obviously VO2 max is an indicator for longevity. When people's VO2 max starts to decline, that is an indicator of frailty. So we want to keep the VO2 max up. Again, I think the sprint training will help with that, but also if people, do want to do some other, long distance running or biking or things like that, or, speed walking, I think those are still good ways to incorporate, maybe the once or twice a week of those into. So again, 3 times a week at least for strength training, and then probably 2 times of something cardio in your workout for the week is kind of an ideal workout plan. Some of the other things that women of our age group should be thinking about is balance. As we start to age, our balance gets worse, and it's pretty impressive, trying to stand on one foot and like close your eyes or do any of those things, like how bad your balance can be. Now, obviously, a lot of women like to do yoga or Pilates, which are great for balance. So if you want to incorporate those kind of exercise programs, I think that's a very good way to get some of your, balance and agility in. Other quick and easy things to do are, when you're brushing your teeth in the morning, stand on one foot. And then when you brush your teeth at night, stand on the other foot. So just kind of some quick and simple ways to just try to practice balance and incorporate it into your daily routine without taking up too much time. I feel like this is a good way to incorporate the balance training. Jump training is another thing that people are talking about a lot, just because that helps strengthen bones. Again, obviously we're wanting to keep these bones strong. Again, I see women coming in with broken bones from, 50 all the way up to 100, and it's devastating. So anything we can do to keep our bones strong, we want to do. So jump training does not mean we have to go do box jumps. And again, I feel like I see a lot of older people coming in trying to do box jumps and getting hurt. I think it could be simple things like standing on one foot and jumping, 30 times in a row, or standing on the, and then switching feet, or doing, jump squats, or skipping, or, jump rope. Whatever you can come up with that just does a little bit of that jump training, loading the bone, maybe once or twice a week. Again, I feel like will be beneficial for bone health. And then lastly, obviously, stretching and mobility. We want to keep these joints, loose and stretched out. We want to stay mobile to prevent injury. And again, I have a very busy life with 2 young children and working. So to incorporate all this, my strength training cardio workouts all together are maybe 30, 40 minutes. Again, I do 3 times a week of the weight training, twice a week of the cardio. And then sometimes I'll try to incorporate one day of like a Pilates yoga type video. I'm trying to get better about my stretching. I've been very bad at that throughout my life. If I don't, and if I do just my 6 days a week of workouts, then I just try to do it at night. So just, 5 minutes of like before I go to bed, just, doing stretches, which again helps relax you for bed anyway, but that's also a good time to just get those stretches in. It's just great for joint mobility, which again, lifelong, for you to be able to lift, stay active, not get injured. I think stretching is something we all need to do. So hopefully this was just a quick overview about, what we should be doing for our exercise programs. Again, everybody's different. I think the key takeaway is we all need to get moving more. And I think we're just a very sedentary population. We need to do these focused exercises. Again, the strength training, the cardio, but also just getting more steps in our day. It doesn't do you much good to do these workout programs and then sit the entire day and get like 1,000 to 2,000 steps. You should still be trying to get 8 to 10,000 steps a day too. We need to just be more mobile. Our bodies are designed for that. We're designed to move. This is how we stay healthy. This will help you burn calories more. If you're trying to lose weight, which again, most of us are trying to lose weight at this stage of our life. So getting 8 to 10,000 steps a day. And that just means, maybe walking a little bit further to go to the bathroom or get a glass of water at work, or getting up if you're doing a seated job, making a lap, every hour just to get moving. So whatever ways you can come up to also add this mobility in is key, I think, for long-term, for just health and lifestyle factors. So hopefully I kind of went over things for like a quick overview of what women in perimenopause and menopause should be focusing on for exercise programs. Again, if you like these videos, please share them with your friends, hit subscribe or like, make comments if you have questions, and stay tuned for the next video. Thanks, ladies.